Hey guys, welcome back to Be Rich. Before we get into the video, I wanted to bring to your notice that my uncles Vinod Srinivasan, Anand Srinivasan and I have rolled out our Substack, which is basically a blog / newsletter where we're going to post our original research onto it. And we've analyzed macroeconomic trends. And a lot of you know my uncle Anand Srinivasan and I regularly write for The Hindu, and these articles are also going to be made available for you in the Substack. The link is moatinvesting.substack.com. You'll find it in the description and in the video right now. We hope you go check it out. We've put a lot of time and effort into it. And please give us comments and feedback on what you read. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back to Be Rich. Yes, today we do not have the intelligent investor with us, but we promise you tomorrow we'll have the copy in the studio for when we record. That being said, today we wanted to talk about the Turkish economy. So Turkey is something which we have covered in this channel in the past with unconventional economic policies, as one should say. And he got re-elected in 2023. And given his re-election, since then he has stepped away from his unconventional economic policies and has actually said that I am going to tackle inflation and I want to have a scorched earth policy with inflation where you just take up interest rates, hike it, to a level which is unseen before, and you make sure that you do successfully bring down inflation in your country. And the reason why inflation is such an important metric, which central bankers and politicians do focus on, people are very averse to rising prices. If prices rise, most people are going to take to the streets to complain. And if they rise enough, then they might even topple your government and install a new one, especially when your inflation is at the range in which Turkey has experienced in the past. As of July in 2024, the Turkish inflation rate was at 62%. And the inflation expectation for the year end was around 43%. These are huge numbers. Generally, we expect inflation to be anywhere between 0 to 10%. To see inflation rate above 10% generally signals a sick economy. Sick because the prices are rising too fast. And after you cross the 10% range, you start moving into the territory of hyperinflation. And if you get into inflation rates of like 50-60%, you're definitely in the range of hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is when you basically have a currency which is not worth the same as it was yesterday. So in a matter of a day, you see that the currency which was worth, let's say, 100 rupees yesterday will be worth 50 rupees today. There have been cases such as the Weimar Republic, which is almost the most well-known case. You have Zimbabwe. You have many other examples of hyperinflation.
Yeah, but Turkey hasn't reached that yet.
Turkey hasn't reached that point. But 43% is a crazy amount, and it has close links to its rest of the Western cousins. And the interesting thing is that in a developed economy, you end up seeing such inflation. Definitely doesn't bode well for the country. However, in the recent past, Erdogan has stepped away from that inflationary policy and he's decided to put up his interest rates to curb inflation. So last year, the interest rate in Turkey was 22% and today it stands at 53%. There's a huge rate of interest which Turkey is putting up. And this has meant that the stock market has cracked in Turkey. In the past month alone, it fell by 8% because these kind of interest rates are eye-watering for a lot of hedge fund investors who are into riskier assets. And it's unlikely that we should see Turkey default. It's not something which is on the board. Hedge funds are taking a calculated risk and trying to get into treasuries in Turkey and trying to shift away from the stock market. So people had piled on into the stock market in Turkey because they were trying to avoid the ravages of inflation. And now people are moving away from the stock market into treasuries to basically cash in on the higher interest rates in Turkey. Whether Turkey is going to maintain this policy is definitely a question mark because Erdogan has not been known for stability in the past, at least. He has made, decisions, lightning fast decisions on what to do and what not to do. So it may well be that interest rates come down very fast later. But as things stand now, the Turkish treasury instruments are doing quite well in comparison to the stock market. So what do you have to say about this situation?
Okay, first about inflation. There's two types of inflation. One, where there's lots of liquidity in the market. So they're chasing few goods which are only available in the market. That's pushing up price. The other thing can happen is where enough goods are not being produced. The people have adequate money, but there's not enough goods. So there is a bidding war going on for what is available. I think Turkey is suffering a condition of both, meaning what's happening is one is feeding to the other. This liquidity was there, lots of good chasing the goods which were there, but then tightening of the interest rates led to tightening of the economy. So productivity dropped. As productivity drops, number of goods also drops. So that also creates inflation. So it's going to take some time to stabilize this, take drastic actions. And I don't think they're fully part of the EU as yet. They're still entering EU.
Yeah,
in the process of entering EU. They've not become full-fledged members. So in terms of finance also, they'll have to follow certain strict rules into enter EU, Eurozone in terms of finance.
The accession process is still ongoing and they're negotiating being part of the EU. They're not a member of the EU just as yet. But the regulations which the EU impose on their member countries do end up applying to Turkey, because if Turkey wants to become a part of the EU, they will have to adhere to the regulations posed by the European Union.
Correct.
So please continue watching this video.
Yeah. So if you look at it in that terms, they have their hands are tied in what they can do. They cannot. Usually, what happens in a country like this when they are facing such severe situation is they'll drop their currency to zero almost, meaning exporting from their country will become very, very, very cheap. So that will boost local. The idea is it will boost local productivity. That in turn export will boost, and when export is boosted, more dollars will inflow into the country, and that inflow of dollars will help further to stabilize things in the country. Of course, it's a long drawn-out process. I'm saying it in compressing 5 years into a few sentences. But Turkey cannot do that either. So he is in a tough situation when it comes to it. And if you're a business owner in Turkey, you can imagine, last year your borrowing cost was at 20%. Now your borrowing cost has gone up to 50%.
Yeah.
So it becomes next to impossible. Even if you're repaying you borrowed in local Turkish liras and you have to repay in liras, it is very hard. Of course, as a savings account holder in Turkey, you will think it's great times for you. But the problem is, when you have a savings account and you're getting such high interest rates in your savings account, it will further compound the problem of inflation, because people feel they can afford to splurge a little bit more because they're getting such high returns on their savings. So I really, as a layperson, I find the situation they are in very compounding and complicated. And they will really have to relook at a lot of things with a hard light before they can decide to move forward. This is not going to be a problem they can fix in a short term. And this is very strange because just a few years ago, their economy and everything right before COVID was touted to be one of the best. And even during COVID, they were touting, saying they managed COVID very well and all that in terms of economy. So this is what it does when you have a person who has a very imaginative leadership, especially they feel they know what they're doing and they don't want to take any advice. This can happen very fast.
Yeah. So,
and great example of this is Sri Lanka too. And the writing on the wall was there, and people kept warning. But the leader at the time who was there in Sri Lanka didn't heed to the warnings, and he thought he can take Chinese debt on board and get himself out of trouble. And that boomeranged on him. That too was conflicted with other policies like the organic tea policy, that everything in the country should be made organic. Some ideas he had, which a lot of people advised him against, but he didn't heed to those advice and plunged the country into chaos. Now they're trying to rebuild and get themselves out of it. So you can see this repeatedly happening in a lot of countries, and it's happened to European countries. It is not only Asian countries or Middle Eastern countries which have suffered, it's South American countries. European countries have also had lack of imagination in the leadership and suffered. Greece recently, still not out of the woods completely. Italy was there. Spain went through it, and it can happen.
Yeah. So that being said, we hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon to get notified of when we upload our latest video. And if you have any comments or opinions, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you very much for joining us on Beach.
Thank you.
I had a very successful event in Singapore. I was there for 10 days. A lot of you showed your affection on me wherever I went, whether it was the streets of Singapore, whether it was at the restaurants, the malls, and more particularly at the events. I wish to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. My team felt that I had never done a full-fledged event in Abu Dhabi, and they wanted me to do so because we have a lot of friends there. So the next event would be in Abu Dhabi on the 5th of October. Those desirous of participating in that event, drop a message at the WhatsApp number given below or send a mail at the email given. My team will get in touch with you. It's a great privilege and honor that so many of you in thousands have subscribed to my channel and have supported me. I have written 2 books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support. If you like this video, press the subscribe button of my channel, hit the like button and turn on the bell notification.